Hi, this is Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. While the Indians are still picked by many to win the Central Division, most fans are more concerned about what's going to happen in October, which of course means Game 5, 6, 7, and 8 of the Brown season. I spoke to a baseball lifer yesterday. He told me every team in the league can afford contracts like the ones that were offered and signed by Machado, Harper, and Trout, but they actually like the position they're in by begging poor man. This baseball lifer gave me two highly respected names and email addresses of people who could verify this, along with the fact that if an owner says he's losing money, he isn't telling you the truth. They also would verify that accountants can show you how they lose money while operating the team and not just getting it back when they sell the team. If that's true, it changes everything. Bud Shaw is here. More Sports and Les Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine, it's a Tuesday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les Levine into our 23rd year. And as always, seen exclusively on cleveland.com. And that would mean Tuesday night. That means Bud Shaw is here from WKYC.com. Hello, Bud.
Great to be with you, Les. It's been already been an eventful week in Cleveland sports.
Well, last week nothing happened.
Yeah,
right?
and anything that happened this week would have made it eventful. But we had the baseball opener in which the Indians at least rewarded a fan base for sitting through that climate yesterday. I couldn't have done it. Somebody asked me about the 8th inning rally. I said, I think I was back getting hot coffee during that. I'm not sure what happened.
So that's what happened in Minnesota. They were getting hot coffee when the prime moment was coming.
Yeah, I mean, it does make you wonder. I understand. I've been told before why teams can't just go to warm weather climates to open the season for 7 or 10 days. Well, it seems so reasonable, right, that you would just send cold weather teams to warm weather climates to start the season or to domes. And I was told that, the warm weather teams don't necessarily want all those home dates while their fan base still has kids in school, too.
Same argument
Yeah, same argument. So I understand why you sometimes can't get around it, but it does seem... I heard Rick Manning on an interview this morning on radio saying, and when the schedule came out, he looked and he saw at Minnesota, home, at Detroit, and he thought, really? It couldn't have done a little better than that? And I understand what he's saying. It's a tough thing to sit through.
All right, you know what I'd rather have? I'd rather have interleague play out the window so that Cleveland, for example, can play Boston or New York more often.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would feel that way. I think originally the idea of interleague play was, novel and interesting.
Yeah, when you couldn't see them on TV.
And you brought teams in that you wouldn't necessarily get a chance to look at. Now you do. All you have to do is turn the TV on and you see these teams every night. I
was thinking you don't know who's on the teams that you'd be playing from the National League, and then I realized you don't know your own team at Progressive Field.
Well, at least this year. You must have been very happy. I saw you yesterday.
They listened to me.
You wanted the uniforms with some names on the back.
Not those cream-colored ones with. Although all you have to do is put the name Ramirez on, and you got most of the team.
Yeah, you got most of it taken care of. You, of course, would like names on the back that still say Brantley, Encarnacion.
Not so much Encarnacion.
Lindor, Alonso, Miller, Allen.
Right. Well, they got a Miller on this team, just a different one.
Yeah.
All right, tell me what the news on Lindor, which is not good. Another 3-4 weeks, they said.
Yeah, it wasn't a great sign when you saw that he was spent opening day in Green Bay, of all places, getting a second opinion.
Where it's warmer.
Yeah, where it's getting a second opinion. The report I read today was that he'll go through 7 to 10 days of rehab, and then it said, and go into a running program, into a baseball ready program. So I don't know what that means, but most people are attaching, a 3-week time frame on it.
That wasn't the doctor saying that.
No, and I think the Indians, their plan is to address it more specifically tomorrow. Although they're never the ones, and no team is, to say, here's the day when we think he'll be back, because they don't want to put that kind of pressure on a player. I think,
and if you're going to, you put it further out anyway.
Yeah, and I think Lindor's probably being conservative. He doesn't want this thing lingering, and they shouldn't either.
Do you think if the Indians just said, okay, Francisco, here's that $1 million contract we were talking about, don't you think it would be a good idea to sign it?
It would have to be a lot more than $1 million contract.
$100 million, I meant. Is
maybe
there a difference?
2, maybe 3?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I mean, that's the concern. I mean, you assume that he's going to be healthy for the next 2-3 years or whatever, but if you're Lindor, maybe you're thinking, there it goes out the window.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that this injury is enough to scare him straight, so to speak.
Yeah.
But he's had a couple years here where he's played in 156 games, I think, one year, 158 the next. So I think he's still feeling like he's young and durable. And let's face it, even if there's an injury, he goes on the market after missing half of the season. Somebody's still going to pay him.
Our doctors are better than your doctors.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? All right. Do you have any opening comment for tonight?
I think I do, and it's.
I can't wait to hear it.
It's going to disappoint you. You're a baseball guy, but it's Browns related. So bear with me. I'll try to get through it as quickly as possible.
Okay.
Odell Beckham Jr. did a flyby in Berea Monday, staying for a press conference, but then we're told leaving immediately to tie up loose ends. We think it's in Europe. With any luck, he's helping the Brits negotiate Brexit. Beckham suggested in the press conference he shared with Baker Mayfield, Jarvis Landry, Myles Garrett, that April 1st, 2019 might be remembered as a, quote, iconic, end quote, date. I would think that might be reserved for the first time they're on the field together and win a game, but, what do I know? At least Beckham stopped short of predicting the Browns would win, quote, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4 Super Bowls, the way LeBron predicted NBA titles at that long ago smoke show in Miami. I'm more of the Freddie Kitchens school. Asked about the talent on paper, an unmoved Kitchens said Monday, whoop to hell. Sounds like a T-shirt slogan to me, and just the right tone to keep a team from getting way ahead of itself.
You know what I noticed yesterday? When he was just talking about football and in general, you heard that Alabama accent. Then when they got to serious questions, a different accent showed up, a serious accent.
He sounded British.
Well, not quite. Not quite. 2-1. You finding any fault with anything he's done so far?
No,
hard
I think,
to do that.
Who knows how he's going to react to game situations, to player discipline issues in season, all of those things that first-year head coaches, have to learn to do. But I think he might be just the right temperament for a team like this, because they're really feeling their oats right now.
Yeah, they are. A couple of national guys, Jason Whitlock and somebody else, are calling this for a disastrous outcome here.
What?
Just it's going to be a zoo and then some.
Because of the Odell Beckham signing, or because of Kitchens being the head coach?
No, not Kitchens.
Okay.
But, Kitchens maybe not being able to handle Beckham.
Well, we'll see. I think I shared the one story I had heard about him sort of getting on Baker Mayfield at halftime of the Houston game when Mayfield had played so poorly at half. So based on that, at least, I don't see him shying away from speaking honestly to these guys. We'll have to see. I mean, this team already seems very accommodating to Odell Beckham Jr., does it not?
Yeah, to the point where they got themselves in a little trouble with, from a PR standpoint, with the press conference and Odell Beckham showing up at the same time the Indians were getting set with the opening pitch.
They've been very clear in agreeing to this narrative that he had his life turned upside down and he had things planned and he wasn't expecting to be with in an off-season program on April 1st. He thought it would be at least the April 15th. And I guess there's some legitimacy to that. You would like to see him, somehow have figured out a way to, because he's so new, because he's going to be the face of this franchise along with Mayfield, that, he would come and stay and not just come and make an appearance and say hi to his teammates. But if everybody's comfortable with it, we'll see. He'll test them in other ways during the season. So
how about with Freddie Kitchen wearing not Chief Wahoo, but the Block C hat, and coming out and announcing that he's rooting for the Indians.
Yeah, I thought that was a nice touch. I'll defer to you on that topic. I didn't see anything. I saw the Browns having to deal with the fact that the star player who everybody wanted to talk to, was in town for one day, and that their date for starting this program had already been set at April 1st. Yeah. So I didn't find it insulting to the Indians that they held a press conference before the home opener, but I talked to a couple of reporters who've been here longer than I have, who thought it was a slap in the face.
I can see how people do that. Last night I came to the defense of the Browns, basically thinking what you're thinking, and I don't think it's a big deal at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know the Indians are, I don't want to say oversensitive, but they're sensitive to the love and allegiance that a underperforming, which is the kindest word I can think of to say, football team for 20 years still gets in a town, and where they get, and their ownership, who's put teams on the field that have won 102 games, 98 games, gone to extra innings in Game 7 of the World Series all recently, don't feel that they get the benefit of the doubt from a fan base.
Let's hear what Odell Beckham had to say upon his arrival in Cleveland yesterday. Oh, or maybe not. All right, we're going to come back. The Browns rising in the ranks. They're getting national attention again. We'll come back. Bud Shaw with us, 216-575-0403. You can email us during the show, and that's at reallesslevine@gmail.com. More Sports and Les Levine continues in a moment, exclusively right here on cleveland.com.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Right, here's birthdays for today. Luke Appling, the Hall of Fame infielder, played for the White Sox, born on this day. Bobby Avila, who won the batting title for the Indians back in 1954. Don Sutton, it's a pretty good birthday day. Reggie Smith, Clark Barr, born on this date. And Larry Drew, coach of, didn't he used to be the coach of the Cavaliers?
Yes, still is, and some would say doing a very good job this year.
Well, by staying right where they need to be?
Well, they are playing hard for him, and it's been a very difficult year for any head coach. That was a key loss last night, though, losing to Phoenix.
A big one to have.
Yes, it was. You didn't want to win that one.
The difference between 1, 2, and 3 and 4 is not all that much.
No, I think I don't understand it exactly because I was an English major. But if you finish, say, second, you still have the same chance as number 1 and number 3, but it increases your chances of maybe getting the 4th pick. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I do.
I've got a slide rule I'll bring out a little bit later.
I even understand it, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know how they got to the 1.4 number, but now that I see they got to it, it does make sense to me. It also makes sense to me that you were talking about the Browns going up against the Indians, and Indians off today. They'll go back, a 1 o'clock or 1:30 game tomorrow against Chicago. Chicago's pretty inept, by the way. Have you noticed?
Yeah, I did notice. When you allow 3 runs the way they did in the 8th inning, that was a big collapse. And my point, I was lectured by a couple people today after saying that the Indians couldn't keep wasting starting pitching, and this guy said, they didn't waste starting pitching, they won the game. Okay.
No, they wasted starting pitching.
My point is that you're getting great starting pitching from Bauer and Clevenger, and you had to, jump through hoops in order to win those games. And if you're playing anybody other than a bad team yesterday, you might not come away so happy.
I don't see why it's a problem that they're in a bad division. Everybody wants the easiest path to get to the postseason and set themselves up to win. You do it with the brackets in NCAA basketball. You do it in the NBA playoffs. This is the easiest road. Why should you be penalized or ripped for it?
No, I agree. We did a podcast today at WKYC.com, and we did a look back at the 25 years of Progressive Field, but it was Jacobs Field at the time. And one of the timing of everything that happened was so perfect in a way, right? They had the young players coming up.
Signed for a long time.
They signed them. They moved into this beautiful ballpark.
Right.
And the same year, they moved into the AL Central.
Right. People forget that. They think it's been the same way all the way through.
Yeah, exactly. So when you looked at, and I also looked at that, Les, from the time they moved in 94 to 2002, they had an 8-year run where they were not out of the top 5 in attendance in the American League.
Well, that was the beginning of the 455 streak.
Yeah, we know there was a sellout streak involved, but it was 2002 or 3 before they fell out of the top 5, and they fell to like 12th out of 14 teams.
Wow.
And then that's really where they've stayed. I mean, they've gotten up to like 9th in the American League out of 15 teams, but never higher than that. And I'm not saying that that's the reason why the Dolans aren't spending, but I'm just saying it's a different baseball town than it was back in the 90s.
Well, number one, in the 96 through 99 or 98, 3 years there, you didn't have the Cleveland Browns.
True.
So you also had
a dynamic, entertaining offensive team. When they debuted in 1994, they had Manny Ramirez hitting 7th in the lineup in that game, and they probably would have had Jim Thome hitting 8th maybe, but they platooned and they played
Randy Johnson. Seattle.
Against Randy Johnson, and they played Mark Lewis at 3rd.
Correct. Yeah, people
remember
forget.
him?
I do, and I remember he had about a 12 or 13-year career, and if he wasn't the first pick in the draft, he would have had about a 2 or 3 year career.
Yeah, that was my recollection of him is Hargrove talking about his bad body language, and maybe it wasn't Mike. I thought it was Mike who said it, but he just didn't carry himself like he thought he was a success. Well, you probably did too.
Yeah. Also, over the last 10 years, there have been some guys starting on this team that, number one, if you remember them, you might have said, yeah, that was 20 years ago, not 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, you had, Colin Cowgill, Shelley Duncan.
Oh, sure.
David DeLucci. You had some guys that.
Jason.
Well, Jason.
Begins with an M. That's a test for everybody.
I'll get it in a minute. Jason Michaels.
Yeah. So you've had somebody texted me today and said how appropriate that this team would open the season and have a 4th outfielder throw out the first pitch.
Wayne Kirby,
who had the game-winning hit in the first game that they won in extra innings.
All right, let's take a look at the Browns situation. We'll look at their starters or projected starters. Who knows what Kansas City Chief will wind up here soon. But right now we take a look at the projected roster. This is the backfield and the receivers, the backs and the receivers. So, of course, you have Baker Mayfield and Nick Chubb and Duke Johnson, although Johnson wants out. Odell Beckham Jr., as well as Jarvis Landry and David Njoku. It looks pretty impressive, does it not?
Pretty good.
Then we go to the offensive line. It's always tough to tell how good linemen are, but right now you're looking at Greg Robinson, Joel Bitonio, J.C. Treader, as well as Austin Corbett and Chris Hubbard. We don't have any idea how good those guys are, but we have an idea about this defensive line. Olivier Vernon and Myles Garrett, Sheldon Richardson, and Larry Ogunjobi all on the starting line. And then the backfield looks like Jannard Avery, Joe Schobert, Kristen Kirksey, Eric Murray, Demarius Randall, Denzel Ward, and Terrence Mitchell. Again, on paper, it looks pretty good.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's the steel curtain or anything, but it looks pretty good. And
how about this? The ESPN Power Ratings, the graphic shows us, this is all the teams now. Last time we looked at it, it broke down the AFC and the divisions. You got New Orleans as the top team, the Rams number 2, followed by New England and Kansas City, and the Chargers and Chicago Bears. So the first 6 teams, 3 in each conference. Now we go to Indianapolis number 7, Philadelphia 8, and Cleveland is number 9.
Yeah, and what jumps out at you are the 3 names at the bottom.
Yeah, the AFC North, and you got Baltimore 13, 16 is Pittsburgh, and 28 is Cincinnati.
28 might be high for Cincinnati. They might be worse than that. Yeah, I mean, when's the last time you saw a list like that? That didn't have Pittsburgh and Baltimore ahead of the Browns, no matter where they were, and Cincinnati for that matter. Yeah. But they've had a little more of a checkered history.
Do you think after the 10-6 record in 07, do you think?
I can't remember that. I can't remember what the feel was about that 2008 team. You know, they certainly returned the same quarterback, but it wasn't a guy that you felt was going to lead the franchise.
And it was Joe
to
Thomas's first year.
2008 would have been his second year.
Right.
They had drafted Brady Quinn in 2007 also.
Correct.
So you had that feeling that maybe they were going to turn it over to Quinn as a rookie quarterback and see if he was the franchise guy. And I think that team went from 10-6 to 5-11 or something like that.
Yeah. All right, if you can see over Bud's shoulder, it already gives away where the status is of Francisco Lindor. I don't want to be doom and gloom on this, but it doesn't sound good to me.
Yeah, I mean, he, at one point just recently, we thought that he was going to be ready for the home opener at least, or maybe even the season opener, and to have it suddenly become a month-long thing.
Yeah. All right, stay tuned. We'll get to that. We'll talk more about that. More sports unless Levine continues. But here on cleveland.com, don't forget Northfield Park, your home for live and simulcast racing. You can catch the excitement of live harness racing every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday with a post time of 6 p.m. Open early every day for simulcast action all around the world. It's free admission, free parking every day at Northfield Park. Bud and I return in a moment exclusively on cleveland.com.
Your basement is damp, dirty, and not somewhere you want to spend time. Let Naturestone Flooring transform your basement into a true extension of your home. Naturestone's proprietary hydrostatic ports allow water to simply evaporate, so no mold or mildew. Naturestone is the affordable basement floor solution that beautifies your home.
Get Naturestone installed in your home by the end of March and get up to 50% off. Schedule your free in-home estimate easily online today.
It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Naturestone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Time for a How Come Quickie. Bud, how come Modell may have ruined the Browns franchise, but Odell may save it?
I see what you did there.
You do?
With the rhyming.
The rhyme scheme and the 5 out of the 6 letters were the same.
Yeah, very good.
How come we haven't seen that yet?
Well, now we have.
Now we have, and I'm taking full credit for it, but it seems to me it's so easy. So
well,
easy.
if the franchise becomes the circus that some national people think it will, then they can do the Odell
switch it back
thing.
around.
Yeah,
Odell
sure.
ruined it. And
I don't suspect that's going to be the case. I think you've put a staff together that's pretty veteran around around kitchens. You have an experienced GM. That doesn't mean the players can't go off on their own tangents at time, but I think having Jarvis Landry there for Odell Beckham is a positive thing. And
is Freddie Kitchens a concern?
Well,
here's why I say that. With him calling the plays, and I know what a great job he did calling the plays last season when he took over as offensive coordinator, but is it a good idea to let him and I know that's one of the reasons he got the job, but is it a good idea?
To let him keep calling the plays? I don't know. I was wrong when I said that, that's what Hugh Jackson did best, and
I hate to see what he did worse.
I understand why he would want to call his plays as a first-year head coach. I just think Kitchens is the kind of guy that isn't afraid to ask other people for help on stuff.
Good point.
And I think he's a different personality. Until proven otherwise, I'd say we'll go ahead with it.
That's a good point. But do you see John Dorsey saying after about Game 3, no matter what the record is, hey, Freddie, maybe we ought to relook at this?
Maybe. I mean, they have an experienced offensive coordinator in place who it's not like you'd be turning it over to a guy like, say, Freddie Kitchens, like they did last year. And we all thought that was a big risk, right? And it turned out that he knew what he wanted to do with that offense more than Todd Haley did.
All right, going back to Francisco Lindor, who's making a nice appearance rounding the bases behind you there, Bud. This guy is one of the top 5 players in the league. Mm-hmm. Would you agree with that?
I'd say he's in that. Yeah, he's in that discussion.
He's in the discussion.
Bryce Harper and, well, I wouldn't go through the list. I'll miss somebody. If
well,
I do.
Better than Machado, but that's another story for another day. But the Indians can very well not. They can't get along without him. They got to get him back quick.
No, I mean, last year at this time, coming out of spring training, Brantley wasn't ready, but he was in the lineup for the home opener.
Correct.
6 games into the season, I believe. And we all know what his bat, a professional bat like that, meant to that offense through the year. Lindor's even more valuable. So you can't, given what they've lost too, and that, you know what I mean? Like, you're not just losing Lindor, you've already lost Brantley, Encarnacion, Alonso, and I know maybe Alonso's not as big of a deal. Melky Cabrera
it's a left-handed guy in the middle of the lineup.
Was effective in some ways. So this is a loss that is amplified by the fact that they don't have a lot around him in this lineup anymore.
I had a guy email me today. He says, I can't believe I'd be begging for Kipnis to get back in the lineup.
Yeah, I had that same kind of email saying I never thought I'd write this, but they really need him. And that's a bit of a cheap shot. I mean, he's a guy, he didn't have the greatest year, but he
gutted it out.
He had 20-some homers last year, 70-some RBIs. It wasn't like he fell off the map offensively.
All right, so here are the backup shortstops, Eric Stamets and Max Maroff. Maroff did get a big hit yesterday. Here you see Stamets 9 at-bats. I mean, this is way early on the sample size, but scored 1 run and struck out 5 times in his 9 at-bats. Everybody's striking out. Not so much yesterday, but in the Minnesota series, 13 guys in each game.
Yeah, 39 strikeouts, 5 runs scored in Minnesota. Which was alarming all by itself, and regardless of weather, I say.
Yeah, and I know it's the weather. I know that you got young guys. You got, in Stamets' case, it's in the major leagues for the first time. But these are supposed to be guys who can get the bat, at least get the bat on the ball.
Yeah, I mean, Stamets to me he seems like a John McDonald, do you think?
Maybe.
He's a terrific glove guy. Yeah. John wasn't the best hitter, but he also wasn't a guy who struck out a lot. He did put the bat on the ball. So, give Stamets a little benefit of the doubt here and give him a chance to settle into the lineup, and hopefully he's that defensive guy.
The Maroff situation back in the game they won in Minnesota, Game 2, where he just got eaten up by that pop-up that landed 5 feet from him. Yeah. And then they have the audacity to hit a very similar pop-up with 2 outs and the bases loaded.
Yeah.
And you know what everybody's thinking, right?
Well, look how that game started yesterday. I mean, a ball hit right at the right fielder, Chicago's, and he freezes and it goes for a double. Then a pop up to left between. Yeah, of course he froze. A pop up to left between the shortstop, and you hate to say, oh, it's still spring training for these guys, but it looked like it.
Unbelievable. And the Indians loaded. What they do? Load the bases and with a lot of help, and just couldn't get a run across. And there's some amazing stat that if you score first, you win something like 72% of the games.
Yeah, the thing I wrote today for WKYC.com, I said on the headline, I said, like, is the hard way going to be the only way for the Indians in 2019? And people were like, no, that's just baseball. Well,
Where's the
it
home runs
wasn't
gonna
baseball
come?
when you won 102 games.
Yeah.
You won a lot of those games easily. It certainly, you won a lot of games easily in the 90s when you were bludgeoning bad pitching, and that's what we need to see. When these guys get to the 4th and 5th starters, Les, I said I think Clevenger's underemployed as a number 4 starter. I think he's much better than that. He could be a number 2 starter for some teams. And Bieber, I think, is one of the better number 5 starters. So you're going to be able to match bad pitching with 2 good pitchers in those spots, and you're going to need to score runs and not waste those opportunities.
Do you now see, even though it's small sample size, 4 games in the books, why the Indians might have thought they could get away with trading one of their big guys, big pitchers?
I guess, but combined with what know that they've lost offensively, it just seems like anything that you take away from that starting pitching is because you don't know what you have in the bullpen yet, in my estimation. I mean, I think you have a pretty good closer, and beyond that, you're still looking for guys to fill certain roles. So
how about Edwards? Somebody wrote me today and said Edwards has 2 wins. That looks like Cy Young material. Right?
Yeah, as long as you don't look at his numbers.
Yeah,
right.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Where do the Cavs stand in terms of the draft? We will check that and more when we get back. More sports and Les Levine continues in a moment. Don't forget we have the voicemail of Truth and Reason. 216-200-6650 is the number. You can call anytime, 24 hours a day. Leave us messages if you can't get in when the show is going on, and we'll put the best messages on the future show, and we will respond to those questions. And we'll come back in a moment. Where do the Cavs stand in terms of the draft? We'll find out when we get back. More sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
It takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling to bring the heat when things get chilly. Find us at 440-449-HEAT.
All right, this day in sports history, the Milwaukee Bucks signed a guy by the name of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to a contract. In 1968, would he have still been Lou Alcindor?
I don't remember, but I think he would have. He was at UCLA, right?
Yeah. 2 years later, with Oscar Robertson, they win the NBA title. Small market team back in the day. 216-575-0403. Speaking of drafting and signing guys, there's one guy that the Cavaliers and every other team would like. What do you think of Zion Williamson?
Oh, that's who you meant.
Who are you thinking?
I thought you meant Ja Morant. Is that how he says his name?
Ja.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, obviously Zion Williamson would be the number one choice. I've seen a couple of guys that I think know something about basketball, contend that they think R.J. Barrett will be a better pro than him.
Really?
I don't know about that. I wouldn't take that chance if I were the Indians or the Cavs with the first pick.
No,
in the draft.
nor would I say that he's going to be the next LeBron James either.
Yeah, I mean, but
being the next LeBron James is pretty tough waters to
It
tread.
certainly is. I stupidly remember asking Paul Silas when they were drafting James that if he looked like he couldn't quite cut it as a high school kid coming into the NBA, would they be forced to just keep playing him because of who he was and where he came from, or could they sit him
Legitimate
down?
question at the time.
And Paul looked at me like, I'm pretty sure he's going to be able to get some playing time. And then when I saw him against NBA talent, I said, oh, yeah, I understand.
What were you thinking? That he was too thin, even though you look at the body now?
Just that it's such a hard transition. I mean, even Kobe didn't have a real smooth transition coming into the NBA as a high school kid. But I sold short what his – I mean, he walked in not quite with Karl Malone's body, but he was a massive guy. Big enough and wide enough that you didn't look at him and say, wow, he's got to put on some weight to compete at this level.
Let's play what if for a minute. Was Paul Silas, should he have stayed on for everybody's benefit except Paul Silas, should he have stayed on longer? Would that have helped LeBron or not?
Yeah, I mean, Paul Silas was a real old school guy. I worked in San Diego when he was the head coach out there for a little while. He's a tough guy. Doesn't take a lot of guff from players. Makes them understand that he's the boss. I don't know how LeBron would have. I think at that age, LeBron would have been receptive to that.
Maybe so.
Maybe a little later in his career, not so much.
Or maybe Silas would have eased up a little bit.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, he was a good guy, and I would have liked to seen him stick around a little more.
All right, let's look at the Cavs' current draft situation, see what they're dealing with and what they've got to do. Right now, they are 2 games ahead of Chicago, or behind of Chicago, which means they're ahead of Chicago. Help me out on that. Was I right? Which one was I right on?
Yeah, they're behind but ahead.
There you go. 18-59 is the record, or 19-59. Phoenix at 18-60, and the Knicks at 15-62. But that doesn't mean, well, there you see some of the draft odds here. Basically, New York and Phoenix and Cleveland exactly the same. If you finish 1, 2, or 3, you have the same draft odds. And then it lowers a little bit. Chicago at 12.5% and Atlanta at 10.5%. It's also possible, I hate to bring this up, it's also possible if the numbers go the wrong way, you could wind up with, the LA Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't that be something, huh? There's such a big difference. I don't know the NBA draft pool right now, but by what I read, there's such a big difference between those first 3 picks or 4 picks than number 7, you know? And it seems like there shouldn't be a big difference between
And
them.
1 to 2 is a huge difference.
Yeah, you would think so.
I mean, I've heard a couple national guys say if you don't get the number 1, you should trade number 2.
Wow. You know, what do you do if you end up at 7, you know, and you get a player that's, you know, he'll help you, but what do you do next year? Do you then
Sexton was, what was he, 8th?
Yeah. I mean, do you then keep everybody together still? Or do you look at Kevin Love and say, time's running out here, and we thought we had a chance of accelerating this rebuild, and now maybe we don't?
Well, he's clearly made a difference when he's in the lineup.
Absolutely.
You know, a lot of people are saying it's no big deal, he's not that good. He's plenty good NBA player.
Yeah. And, you know, but you're still, when you looked at those records last year, better off as a 15-game winner this year than you are as a 25-game winner. And I think with Love and another, say, good player from the draft but not great player, maybe you're a 30 to 35 game winner.
But do you want to be a 35-game winner?
No, that's just it. I think then you're stuck in a place that the Cavs know well from previous years.
I hate to dwell on LeBron James, but
you're going to.
I'm going to. And that is, they were 1 game over the 500 mark with him, and they've shut him down for the season as well they should. But do you think, I don't think they can get a guy, a major level guy. I think they're in the same situation any rebuilding team is in.
Well, I think,
as good as he is.
I think that market probably lends itself more to getting a great player than, say, Cleveland or you know,
Cleveland was
Charlotte or someplace like that.
Cleveland was just luck of the draw. Just the right things at the right place.
But I would agree with you that they have to find that guy in the next year, you know, because I'm not saying LeBron's falling off a cliff here, talent-wise or physicality, that he's suddenly going to just break down and get hurt a lot. But we've seen it. When guys get up around, he'll be what, 34, 35 during the next season?
We've seen that, but we also haven't seen Golden State kind of drop down to normalcy.
No, that's true. But with him, I mean, how many games did he miss this year before they shut him down? I'm
guessing
20, somewhere around that. And we know that hasn't been the case up till this season.
Right.
So is this a one-year operation? I mean, this is a guy who keeps himself in fantastic shape in the offseason, works as hard as anybody, and he still ended up missing 20 games. At some point, age just wears you. He's got so many miles on him. I mean, that's the thing.
Well,
he's not just a guy who's been in the league since he's been 18.
Yeah.
He's a guy who's played international games and deep into playoff seasons and
they
NBA
brag about his 8 straight NBA
finals.
finals, and in retrospect, that's hurt him.
And that was, many of those, not all, but many of those were spent as, the load bearer on those teams to a ridiculous extent. Not just, he had another great player with him who shared the load. Sometimes he didn't have any other great players with him.
No question about that. All right, we'll check out the draft options for the Cavaliers when we get back. Sokolowski's University Inn. They've been with me every day for about 25 years. Unbelievable. I don't think there's anybody who comes close to that. Tied in with a radio or TV personality, and Mike and Bernie Sokolowski have been doing that. Located in Tremont, 5 minutes out of downtown. Take the Abbey Avenue exit, and they are the winners of the James Beard Foundation Award, which is the Hall of Fame. It's Cy Young Award. It's you name it, that's what it is. Sokolowski's University and Cleveland's oldest family-owned and operated restaurant. We're coming back in a moment. Bud Shaw is with us exclusively on cleveland.com.
Concrete in your garage is uneven, cracked, pitted, and just plain ugly. Transform your garage into a welcoming entryway with Nature Stone flooring. Reduce tracked-in dirt. Eliminate puddling and salt damage. Plus, Nature Stone corrects uneven concrete so you don't have to worry about tripping or slipping.
Get Nature Stone installed in your home by the end of March and get up to 50% off. Schedule your free in-home estimate easily online today.
It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Let's take a look at this date in Les Levine history. 1979, figuring it worked for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Lester changed his name to Les, and it did work better for Abdul-Jabbar. You can't win with the name Lou Alcindor, can you?
No, not at all.
Are you getting tired of those, or not enough?
These outcome quickies?
Yeah. No, the state and Les history.
The date and Les? No, not at all. Not as long as they come with those pictures. If you ever stop running pictures with them,
right,
I'll probably doze off.
All right. I'll send them to your house.
All right. Can I say something about Lindor?
Absolutely.
Okay, so our buddy Paul Hoynes is asked on Twitter what to expect for Lindor's return, and Paul points out that he thinks it'll be May because after this rehab, they're going to want to send him out to minor league games, and he thinks that could go as long as 5 to 10 days.
So if he gets 7 to 10 days now, takes us to the middle of the month.
That's 20 days, and there's supposedly going to be a running program in between. So yeah, I think it could.
Did you get any indication that this can be a recurring thing or can lead to other things?
No, I don't think. I mean, it's that that dreaded high ankle sprain, and they say, and this teams generally do say things like this, that the actual examination was encouraging, right?
Yeah,
that it wasn't
not
as severe. The high ankle sprain wasn't as severe, but certainly the timetable makes it feel less than encouraging.
In all deference to small markets around the country, did it surprise you that the leading ankle guy is in Green Bay?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Especially at this time of year.
You'd go
I thought he would have. He would move to his Boca Raton practice.
Exactly. So let's take a look at the draft options for the Cleveland Cavaliers if they do not get the #1 pick. Here you got Ja Morant and 24.5 games, 24.5 points a game, 10 assists per game, and 50% from in field goals in 33 games this year. That's pretty good.
Yeah, he put on an incredible show, and it looks what I like about him most is that he looks to make teammates better.
Right.
And he looks to pass before he looks for his own shot.
R.J. Barrett from Duke. You got to see Duke a lot. 2019 consensus All-American, first-team All-ACC, obviously. 22.6 points per game and 7.5 rebounds, 45% from the field in the entire season, 38 games on that one. We continue on and we go to another Dukean. That would be Cam Reddish. And 13.5 points a game, 3.7 rebounds, 36% from the field, career high 27 points against North Carolina, and he missed the Sweet 16 game due to a knee injury. Now we continue on. You've got Jarrett Culver, Texas Tech, and 18.9 points a game, 6.4 rebounds, and he also a consensus second-team All-American Big 12 Player of the Year. So we asked our Facebook followers to let us know what the Cavs should do with the second pick. Obviously, if they get the first pick, it would be Zion Williamson. If they get the second pick, who would you go with? Well, here you start with Rick May. He says probably Morant, then Zion, Cam, and RJ were good players at Duke, but that didn't translate into a good team in the NCAA tournament. I know Zion is the hot name, but I wonder at his current weight whether his body will hold up during a full NBA season. Carl Brunstetter says Morant also looks like a true point guard who can get his own shot and distribute the ball, something this team really needs. Melvin Stickle, Ja Morant, Carl St. John, R.J. Barrett, and Brandon Buckley goes, well, it came out as Bol, well, it is Bol. Manut's son, 7'2".
If they do that, I'll be really surprised.
You know, when Cleveland State went on probation, do you know this story?
Did you have something to do with it?
No.
No?
No. Certainly not this thing. They were being tried by the NCAA. And one of the things they couldn't do, one of the things they were charging Cleveland State with doing is having one of their coaches who happened to be 6'10 or 6'11. He was not the recruits could come in and they could work out with team members, but coaches can't work out with them or coach. So they asked this 6'10" guy if he ever scrimmaged against Manute Bol, and the answer was, I don't remember. Now, let me ask you something. Do I need to ask the question?
No. No, I think that's something you would probably remember.
6'10", you would remember, would you not?
Yeah.
And I think they immediately hit the gavel down and said, case is over, guilty, Your Honor.
I got to say something, by the way.
Yeah.
We have talked in the past about what effect you've had on certain organizations and leagues.
Yes.
And by that, I mean they generally fold when you're involved with them.
Yes, they do.
Which makes me wonder whether behind the scenes you have some affiliation with the Alliance of American Football, which I think just went out of business today.
I forgot to tell you, I jotted down a note to ask you, how did they allow a league to fold without me being any part of it?
Yeah, I think you've had a role.
How do you
fold?
What did they?
Very quiet.
How many weeks? 7?
Yeah, if that. And the rumors started 3 weeks into it or 4 weeks into it.
After Spurrier was 2-0, they were starting the rumors in.
And there you go, Johnny. I joked that Johnny Manziel rode in on his Shetland pony to save the day, and it still wasn't enough.
Do you think the next one? Do you think that I don't know. The next league, is that going to make it?
You know, I don't know.
There seems to be some money that in this one.
You know, this league was supposedly going to play on the fact that, you know, that everybody's appetite for football is so great.
12 months a year.
12 months a year. If you got rid of some of the silly things that the NFL does, maybe you would enjoy this kind of football even more.
What silly things, like having a good competitive product out there?
Yeah, I mean, like, well, not that, but clearly that's it. I mean, the fix that people want is NFL football.
Right.
You know, and certainly they love college football, but that's a totally different thing.
And Goodell would want to have it 52 weeks a year, would he not?
I'm sure if he could figure out a way to make a 52-game schedule, he would.
216-575-0403 if you want to get in on the last segment of the show tonight. Mary Kay Cabot will join us tomorrow. The D-Man, Dennis Maniloff, will be here on Thursday. Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing. They've got it. You can catch the excitement of live harness racing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, as well as Saturday. Post time 6 p.m. Open early every day for simulcast action. Road to the Derby contest. That's Saturday through the 20th of April. You can scout this year's Kentucky Derby contenders for a chance to win cash prizes. Cash will be awarded to the top 3 finishers every week. Contest is cumulative with the top 5 winners sharing a $5,000 prize pool. Free admission, free parking every day at Northfield Park. Bud Shaw and I return one more time exclusively on cleveland.com.
When my dad started Nature Stone right here in Northeast Ohio, he created a solution for age-old concrete problems: unevenness, cracking, pitting, and more. Nature Stone solves all of these problems in garages, basements, and outdoor spaces. Nature Stone is beautiful, environmentally friendly, and always affordable. Nature Stone is backed by Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty.
Get Nature Stone installed in your home by the end of March and get up to 50% off. Schedule your free in-home estimate easily online today.
It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Tomorrow, Mary Kay Cabot, who of course follows the Browns beat writer, will join us. You see us, she of course from cleveland.com, and you see us Monday through Thursday actually, from 6 until 7, and then you can find it all day long. Archive it on cleveland.com throughout the day, and of course Dave Bacon with his winter show on Friday nights. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/More Sports and Less Levine, with new content posted each and every day. John Patrick is becoming a prolific How Come Quickie contributor. I'm thinking of hiring him.
I'm always a little skeptical of guys with 2 first names.
Well, me too.
Yeah, I think they're hiding something.
3 is worst, Lee Harvey Oswald, I think.
Is Oswald a first name? Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Now,
I think John is legit because he spells correctly.
Okay, well, you've now just brought Lee Harvey Oswald into this conversation with John, and that's maybe not.
All right, so John says, how come if I owned the DeLorean from Back to the Future, I'd only drive it from time to time? I hire him immediately. John, you start tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm afraid he could replace one of your occasional guests, like, Tuesday
like you?
nights. Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. That was pretty good.
I don't know how you spell that. Of course it was.
From time to time. Had you thought of that before?
No.
No?
No. Here's what what you have to understand about emailer John is he'll send in a couple. Like today, he just sent in one. He'll send in a couple, and he knows that I better proofread it before because he goes a little bit on the edge. And then he'll give me 3 of them. One is on the edge, and the other 2 are absolutely fine.
He tries to soften you up, and then he hits you
Yeah,
with another one.
it's like a couple of jabs, and then boom.
Yeah, I could see that.
Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Dayton, Ohio. We'll say hi to Dick. Dick in Dayton, go ahead. Welcome.
Hey, Les. I just wanted to tell you, I was telling your screener, I like this addition of the Odell Beckham for the Browns. That means that I'm going to give them 8 victories this year, buddy.
8?
8?
8.
8 in the first half of the season?
Yep.
Only 8?
At least 8.
Okay.
All right. Why is that? Why don't you think it'll be more than that, Dick?
Well, I just think that, I probably should say maybe I'll go 8 to 9, but I just think that they're just going to light this guy up, and this Baker Mayfield, from what I've seen this year, has impressed me, Les. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will agree with you on that one.
Well, the over-under in Vegas is 9, so I would think most people feel
right about there.
Looking at the AFC North, I think the most people feel that if they had to today, they would take the over.
Right.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
Yes.
But we haven't even seen the schedule yet, and that's going to be coming out in April.
Yeah.
And there's a challenge for young teams to suddenly start playing games at nighttime, Thursday night, Sunday night, having 10 days off in between games, having 3 days off in between games. Veteran teams seem to handle that a little bit better, and we'll see. Veteran coaches know what they want to do in those certain situations too.
Thank you, Dick. Great to talk to you as always. We appreciate it very much.
We'll see how Freddie Kitchens deals with it.
Have a good week.
You too. All right.
Talk to you again, I hope.
Okay, Dick. All right, let me ask you a question. How many years have I been doing sports talk?
50?
About 50.
About 50?
Yeah. Since they invented the phone.
Okay.
I've been doing it. Do you know what phrase I hate worse than any other phrase? As a talk show host.
It's just my opinion?
Nope.
Okay. Because clearly that's what it is.
As I was telling your call screener. I'm here. You can tell me. I'm a big boy.
Yeah, you can handle it.
I can handle it.
Yeah.
As I was telling your call screener, you know what's going to happen tomorrow night, first call out of the box. Here's
what Dick's call made me, it confused me a little bit because his voice said enthusiasm.
His voice said 12 wins.
His words spoke to 12 wins, but then he predicted 8 to start out.
Yeah, I thought he was going to go the other way.
Maybe he's the voice of reason.
Maybe. I mean, I thought maybe he was going to say, I'm not sure. I don't know where all these losses are going to come from, so I'm going to say 13. I don't know where those 3 losses will come from, but nobody goes undefeated.
Is it unfair of me, and my friend Doug Maurice would say yes, because Doug's already predicted them to go 12-4.
Super Bowl, right?
Is it unfair to me to say they were 5-3 with no wins against winning teams?
Of course, it's fair to say to you,
when Baker Mayfield took over and the coaches were fired, they went 5-3 with 3 losses. There are only 3 losses to winning teams, and I'm not casting doubt on the fact that they have talent.
Extrapolate 5-3, and that becomes 10-6.
If you extrapolate it, but at some point you have to play winning teams and win some of those games. You're not gonna.
Yeah.
You're not gonna play 10 teams with losing records.
You can't indulge us to have a little excitement about this?
Yes, you can have all the excitement in the world. But what are you surprised that the over-under then is only 9?
No, I think I would establish it at 9. If I'm trying to get people to bet on each side, I would say 9.
So you're saying that a lot of people like Dick, would take 8. And Vegas thinks that's true too.
I would have, for the only call tonight on guessing of, and we didn't officially say let's guess the amount of wins, I would have thought that an excited guy would think more than 8.
Well, let me tell you this, all right? I may not be good at how come quickies, but I think I'm just giving you a Facebook question of the day.
How many wins?
If the over-under is not, if the over-under,
it's April 2nd.
Just an over-under. We're not asking how many wins. If the over-under, Vegas is putting it out now, and it's April 2nd. If the over-under is 9, what side do you fall on? I think 80% of the people will pick more than that.
I would agree. We will get that in fairly soon.
Aren't you surprised
like
that
in August?
There wasn't a flyby of the home opener yesterday with
Baker and
Odell
and
Beckham. Odell Beckham trailer on the jet. Now the Indians would have had reason to get mad at that.
Instead of jump art, you'd have something else. I can't believe that it took all these days for somebody to compare Modell with Odell.
Well, I wished it had taken a little longer.
I got to go. Thanks to Bud Shaw. We'll see you tomorrow night. Mary Kay Cabot will join us, and we'll do it again tomorrow from 6 until 7. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.